Hey, Mr. Bergson.
She's my new favorite kid on campus.
Well, I think I'm gonna surpass her with this next thing. Filters off.
Take all
Filters
your quotes
off.
out of context.
Masks, legitimate?
No. That's not our first question.
That's not the question.
Our first question is, what do you think is gonna end the human race?
A malintended leader that just brings some destruction on a lot of people at once.
Probably overpopulation.
There's a lot higher chance that it's just going to evolve.
Sebastian and Jaron. No, Sebastian. What do you think is gonna end the human race?
Humans.
Yeah.
Humans will end the human race for sure.
What do you, Jerry Bergson?
I will say
what do
the
you think
whole
is gonna
global
end?
warming thing concerns me a bit.
It does concern you
Yeah.
a bit? Do you think it's gonna end the human race though? Or is it just gonna wipe out a ton of us?
Who says the human race is going to end?
Yeah.
Humans will end the human race for sure.
Like how? How will they do it?
Slowly, frankly. Probably won't come in a bomb form. Climate change with other things. Put it this way, it doesn't have to be one factor. Hunger, climate change, war, all the regular things we deal with. If we end the human race, it'll be 10 to things that we don't think of as killing us immediately. That's why I say not bombs. It'll be things like climate change, which the immediate results aren't so impactful that they create fear in us.
That can be your answer.
All right, who says the human race is going to end?
You don't think it's gonna end. The sun is gonna explode in 5 billion years. Do you think we'll be able to find out how to go to another solar system?
Now you're talking about an infinite amount of time, and it's like, sure, it's going to end. You look at some of the major corporations who you would think never would file bankruptcy and end. Like Jeff Bezos says Amazon will someday go out of business.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. I mean, in an infinite amount of time, I guess you have to assume everything comes to an end.
Okay, so here's what's gonna happen. So basically the Earth, every couple 100,000 or if not million years, the poles are gonna switch, okay? When the pole switch, this throws off all the meteorological like shit, like the clouds. Meteorology and shit. And so what's gonna happen is the Sahara Desert is gonna turn into a forest, okay?
A forest?
Or not a forest, but it's gonna turn into like a grassland. It's gonna be green and shit. This is just getting started. You're not.
Okay.
So I grew up in Israel. I know the culture there. It's a little different. Out of all the cultures I'm familiar with, it's probably most likely to create a leader like that.
Do you think it has anything to do with their religion?
I think actually religion is the root of it. I actually grew up in a Jewish household, celebrate the Shabbat every Friday night.
Yalla. What does that mean?
Yalla means let's go, yeah.
How do you say tomato?
Agvanya.
Agvanya.
Yeah, like that. Perfect.
Tomato?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, a lot of the religion is based around just punishing people you don't like. I feel like also in Israel, knowing the culture, it's a little less like community-based, more like competitive.
Is this new leader the opposite of anti-Semitic? He thinks that everyone who isn't Jewish is inferior.
Yeah, definitely.
It seems like I'm making your answer for you.
I heard what you said, and I mean, it aligns with what I was thinking. It would definitely be proud of the Jewish religion and would have something implicit against non-Jews.
So he's going to nuke the rest of the world?
Something along that line. I don't want people to think I'm anti.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I'm Jewish. Like, they're not going to think I'm anti.
Let's get a D in here.
Wait, full disclaimer. I support the Jewish religion. And,
You can cut this out.
I love all religions.
Libya,
Yeah.
The once former Roman colony, Tripoli, big city on the coast, Mediterranean. So this country, now right now it's just a desert. It's kind of nothing country. Very high literacy rate though. So these people, they love books. 94% literacy rate, highest in Africa. Okay, don't get it twisted. Okay, they love books. So with all these trees, they're gonna start making mad books. They're gonna read like dogs. It's insane. And now with all this new knowledge in their head, they're gonna do a ton of crazy math and engineering and shit. And they're gonna dig underground. And they're gonna be out in the Sahara and they're gonna find oil because earlier it was too hard to find oil out there. But now that there's a forest and there's water and books and shit, they're gonna find that shit no problem. Okay. So now Libya, they're mad proud. The richest country on earth. They have so much oil, so much knowledge, so many books. A new renaissance of African knowledge and power. But then it all goes wrong. Like, who would have guessed? Okay.
Okay.
This guy, Anwar El Ghazi. Okay. He's actually Egyptian, but people think he's Libyan. So he's gonna rise into power, and he's gonna start a new political faction.
Again? So this already happened, but it's going to happen again when Libya becomes the new global superpower.
It's like kind of like it's like poetry. It all rhymes. This happened in the past. This is just like Nazi Germany.
Okay. What do you think is going to end the human race?
The world is going to end in waves of fire and ice, and all those who have not accepted the Lord's words are going to perish a painful death at the hands of Satan.
What do you think is going to end the human race?
Probably overpopulation.
Don't you think that like once we get to a certain point, we'll have like a lot of humans and then like run out of food, and then a bunch of us are going to die, but some people are going to survive?
Completely end the human race?
Completely end.
Well, I don't think it'll ever completely end until like the fucking universe is destroyed.
Until the universe ends.
Well, no, they'll die at some point. There'll be like some planetary.
So the sun is going to blow up in 5 billion years. You think that's going to...
There'll be some planetary event that'll kill like the Earth.
What if we figure out how to go to a different solar system by then?
That's a good question. What did he say? He said a bomb?
Ziv said the Jews. Martine said Libya. 2 people said global warming.
Global warming's a good one.
No, it's not. It's like really expected and typical and not interesting.
How does being typical make it?
It's just like, you know, a bunch of people are gonna die, and then we're gonna stop releasing carbon, and then it's gonna like go back to normal, and then we'll be chilling. A lot of the things, it's like it's gonna kill a bunch of people, but not all people. So it's like, what's gonna kill all people? Don't worry about it.
I am worried.
No, okay, all right, Arthur, let's go. Get out of here. Sebastian and Jaron. No, Sebastian. What do you think is going to end the human race?
I believe nuclear war is going to end this human race because I just think too many countries have that capability.
Who do you think is going to send the first nuke that's going to cause the chain reaction that everyone sends nukes?
I have no clue, but it only takes 1 or 2 nukes.
So someone's going to send nukes and it's over? Is there any way to prevent that?
No.
There's nothing we can do about it.
No. I mean, governments can do whatever they want, right? Who's going to stop them?
So this guy, he's a tyrant. He's an authoritarian. He's evil. But this time, he doesn't run some bummy little 1930s Germany, hyperinflation, all poor and shit. He runs Libya, the most powerful country on earth. Highest literacy rate in Africa, by the way. Don't forget that. 94%, highest in Africa. Okay, so Libya, most powerful country in the world, most oil. They start developing nuclear weapons, nuclear technology, quantum computers. You name it, they got it, okay?
Okay.
All this power, they want to recreate the Roman Empire.
Oh, okay.
So now they start invading all of Mediterranean, Italy, Spain, you fucking name it, France, they're in there, okay? So then eventually they take over all of Europe. But this is where things started taking an interesting twist. They want to get Russian next. But guess what time of year it is?
Winter.
It's the winter. Oh my God.
Just like Hitler.
It's the winter. Just like Napoleon, just like Hitler. You name it, it's happened before. It's all poetry, it rhymes. Tries to go into Moscow, which has now been renamed Putingrad, of course. But shit goes wrong. It starts raining rocks because now the year's like 3000 by now.
Okay.
And you know, they ain't got snow no more. It doesn't exist. Global warming, you know, polar bears are dead. So it rains rocks because the moon, it blew up.
What do you think is going to end the human race?
Honestly speaking, I don't think that the human race is going to end. I think there's a lot higher chance that it's just going to evolve. The most upcoming thing, like what's next, is like cyborgs and like putting sense enhancing like chips in our body so that we could like do some crazy things.
Do you think that like people are going to intervene before it gets to the point where cyborgs can end the human race?
I don't think cyborgs are going to end the human race. I don't think, unless something goes really wrong, which it can, we don't know.
Do you think it will go wrong?
I mean, Murphy's Law. At one point, we're going to have like super soldiers, basically. Countries like North Korea are going to try to do something where they just have a human that's like hyper programmable and that they could do like anything with it.
So do you think it's Western countries are going to be like, that's immoral, we can't do that, we can't make a super soldier, and then North Korea is going to do it first, so then we have to do it?
Most of the countries in the UN and like the big prosperous countries are not going to explore that path. There definitely is probably going to be a universal declaration on Earth that we're going to have to like limit the development of like this sort of stuff. We're going to try to like maximize it, but not maximize enough so that it's like dangerous for us.
Do you think that's like feasible? Like, do you think that like governments are able to be like, hey, stop it?
I think that at one point it's going to need to be feasible.
The moon exploded because NASA, they were doing the space mining project and it went wrong and they blew up the moon. You know, that's just kind of how it goes. It's like poetry. It's happened before, it'll happen again. So basically, the moon, it starts raining down on Putingrad, okay?
What do you think is going to end the human race?
Do you want me to give a serious answer?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to adapt to a point in the future that we can't really be considered human anymore, whether that's through like natural evolution, natural selection, through our own genetic manipulation, through like giving ourselves cybernetic enhancements or whatever. We're going to shift and adapt ourselves to a point that we can't be considered human anymore.
Mr. Blackburn, what do you think is going to end the human race?
I'm going to end the human race single-handedly.
All right, give it up for Mr. Blackburn. Genetic mutations. How do you think that's going to unfold?
If we do it like in the way that I hope we do it, we're going to be like, okay, you're headed to a planet with like a low gravity and a certain kind of atmosphere, and we're going to change like your bone structure to adapt to that, for example, right? And not, I don't want my child to look like this, I'm going to design my baby. But I don't really know. I hope it's going to be the way that like just helps and doesn't like make us really weird about it, but I don't know.
It sounds like you have like a hunch about what it's going to be, and you kind of don't want to address that fact.
Yeah.
I think that you think that it's not going to be you're going to this planet, let's suit you up for that. It's going to be like, I want a designer baby.
I think, yeah, for the rich people, it is going to be, I want a designer baby. And for everybody else, if they get to use it, it's going to be like, okay, we'll actually adapt you properly.
Do you think once someone makes a designer baby and it's like, okay, I'm going to make my baby really smart, really attractive, really athletic, that other people, as a response of like having to be able to compete, they're also going to have designer babies, and then everyone's going to become a designer baby, and we're going to become superhumans?
It's going to be available to the rich first, but we don't actually know what affects intelligence, right? So they don't be able to make their baby really hot and like really fast. Yeah, I don't really think it's going to advance the human race in a significant way to the point that it's going to be like necessary to have one. You're just going to have a lot more like...
What about for military? Like, what if North Korea is like, okay, we've made super hot, super fast designer babies, and we're putting them in our army?
Once everybody's super hot and fast and smart, nobody will be. And even then, like, is that necessarily a bad thing if the human race is, like, its standard is way better than it was in the past?
Is that basically eugenics, but instead of getting rid of the quote-unquote less evolved people, you're just making everyone else more evolved? Do you think it's as immoral?
Only if not everybody has access to it. If only, like, the rich people or only the powerful people have access to it, then that is immoral, because they're effectively basically saying, like, my children deserve to be better than yours.
And it falls... Anwar El Ghazi's head blows up because a moon chunk went through it.
Okay.
And he's dead. Now, what happens? There's a power vacuum in all of Europe. Chaos ensues. All the Libyan people, they're like, oh my God. But it's okay. This is just a start. What's America been doing this whole time? They've been getting ready, okay? America's got the biggest army in the world, in the universe. Nuclear arsenal like you never heard of before. Okay. So they send nukes to Libya, and they blow it up. Where all the trees go? Nowhere. Okay, but at this point, the poles, they switch again. Okay?
Again?
It's poetry. It rhymes. Okay, so the Sahara turns back into the desert. Boom. No more trees, no more books. None of this. Okay? And then the earth blows up and everybody dies. Because the sun dies out.
Okay, so
and it was all for nothing.
Okay, the sun dies out.
It was all for nothing.
All right, thank you for your time.
Yeah, I got you.